second, and I hope this episode finds you well rested, excited about the rest of the year, and very sure that you have not met all the people in your life who are going to love you. This week, I want us to dive into pricing mistakes that small businesses typically make. So to date in Blaze Group, over the last 5 years, we've served well over 10,000 entrepreneurs. I ran coaching retainers with clients that span 1 to 3 years now. I've done consulting engagements with larger clients for capital raises, for expansion, for market research and innovation in the midst of industry disruption, you name it, right? So I've seen a lot of patterns, and one of those is around pricing mistakes. And so I want to share a list of 5 typical pricing mistakes that I've seen across small businesses. And for those of you that are listening inside of the app, I encourage you to do the journal reflection right after this so that you can get out a lot of your thoughts real time and come back to them anytime, as well as take our audio course called Pricing Strategies right there in the app so that you can deepen this practice and really apply real-time solutions, right, and enhancements to your financial strategy. Okay, so let's start with the list. Number 1. One of the most common mistakes that I see is absence of market research. It is important for you to understand that your prospects already know what your competitors are charging, and so you must. Let's say a person wants to get their hair braided. They're going to research other options in their vicinity and compare price points, compare what's included in the cost of the service, as well as, looking at some of the reviews to understand whether the person can deliver on what they're expecting. It is a mistake for a braider not to know how they stack up against their competitors, because then they can't speak to their positioning. They can't articulate if they are targeting bargain shoppers and people who have a lot on their plate and really need that value-based service that is going to get the job done without breaking the bank. Similarly, they're not able to speak to the fact that their price point is higher because they're using sustainably sourced resources and product lines that really do nourish the hair and are absent of harmful ingredients, etc. Right? Like, you want to be able to position yourself relative to your peers because your prospects already know what the comps are doing in the market. Mistake number 2, failure to consider profit margins. It is not enough to choose a price because it signals luxurious or signals white glove. You really need to know what percentage of your revenue for every sale is going to hit your profit line. So profit means after your cost of goods sold come out, after your operational expenses come out, after your taxes come out, what are you left with, right? What are you left with that can be accumulated as wealth or reinvested for growth, etc. Right? So let's say you're selling subscriptions for an app on Apple App Store and Google Play App Store, right? Well, if they're charging you a 15% marketplace fee, then your profit margin is not 100, right? It has to be somewhere south of 85% because 15% comes off top for the marketplace fee for every dollar that you make. Some companies are being charged 30% depending on their size, right? And so their profit margin for every sale is somewhere at or south of 70%, right? So understand what your profit margin is as a percentage of your revenue so that you make sure that your business is profitable. Because if your profit margin is 0 or below, if you are spending more than you are making in revenue, you will continuously go from grant to grant, loan to loan, robbing Peter to pay Paul, and not running a business that can sustain itself off of revenue. I want you to think about your revenue as your own micro capital system. You do not need to be dependent on external systems when you have a sustainable business model. It is so important. It is so important that you strategize for profit margin so that you create your own capital system that is powered by community capital, meaning your customers keep the engine going. Mistake number 2 is error in market targeting. Many times I see customers steeply slash their pricing to target bargain shoppers, people who are looking for a deal, in hopes that in 6 to 12 months that these people will magically pay 4x, right? They're magically going to be affluent. They're magically going to have a huge salary increase. They'll magically have a bunch of extra discretionary capital inside of their house to be able to spend on extra things. Like, that just doesn't happen, right? And out of the gate, you need to understand what segment of the market you're targeting, and then do a good job speaking to those people and build a relationship with those people. Otherwise, you're spending your time grabbing the bargain shoppers, and then trying your best to transform things that are out of your control so they have enough money to pay what your standard rate should be. That's not what we want to do. Even if you serve different customer segments inside of your company. So let's take Blaze, for instance. We serve entrepreneurs with the Blaze Group app. There are 2 tiers that those entrepreneurs can buy from, right? Those costs are under $100 per month when they do subscriptions on the app. We also serve institutions. We serve financial technology companies, helping them raise millions of dollars, helping them to set up their credit policies and their infrastructures and their monitoring practices. Those contracts are 6-figure contracts, right? We do not approach them with a $9.99 offer, hoping that eventually they explode to be a 6-figure client. We keep our relationship with our entrepreneur track, and we have a very separate play for the financial technology companies that we're helping to grow and sustain, who will eventually serve these same entrepreneurs, right? 2 separate tracks. Target them accordingly. Make sure that they understand what value you're providing, right? And we'll get into that inside of this list. And level set their expectations along with yours to understand that this profile type will sustain through the relationship. Okay? Number 4, another common mistake that I see is an absence of unit economics. So we talked about having a percentage that's left for the profit line, because that is what keeps your business sustainable, right? But it's also important to understand what all of your unit economics are. What percentage of every sale is going to your labor cost? Is it 40%? Is it 60%? You need to know that. What percentage of every sale, every unit of sale, is going to your cost of goods sold? Is it 20%? You need to know what this figure is. This is so important because it's a standardization that helps you scale. Let's say one of your vendors pisses you off, right? Maybe their fulfillment times are delayed, maybe their customer service is horrible, whatever the case may be, right? Understanding that 20% of your revenue goes to cost of goods sold gives you a very clear guardrail on what your budget is for replacing that vendor. You want a vendor that sits inside of that, and so you can shop around with confidence, understanding that your sales will cover this replacement, right? And you want to keep it within that amount so that you protect your profit margin, you protect your other margins, right? Your labor margin, your whatever, right? I use another quick example that's pretty common in Sub-Saharan Africa. So my financial technology clients in Sub-Saharan Africa, many times they're working on agricultural schemes. They're really trying to push mechanization, meaning tractors, okay, to farms, so that there's more cultivation, more harvest in a shorter amount of time relative to doing it by hand, right? So for every dollar that these contractors make on these tractors, they have fuel spent. It takes money to put gas in the tractors to provide the service. And so they need to know what percentage, right? This is unit economics. They need to know what percentage of their revenue for every single sale is going to fuel, right? So if it is, I'm making this up, if it's 5%, and let's say oil prices rise, right? This has happened in every economy to date. Them understanding that oil prices have shifted from 5% to 10% inside of their unit economics, help them understand that the profit is going to go down, the profit margin is going to go down by 5%. Or let me adjust my unit economics for my labor and change it from 40% to 35% because I really have to make sure the fuel happens, and maybe I'm doing something right myself instead of hiring labor for it, whatever, right? but know your unit economics. And that brings me to my final um, call out for this list of 5 pricing mistakes that small businesses make, and that is absence of value proposition. You need to understand why customers are buying from you and what your offering is saving them or yielding them relative to your price. Okay? It's not about what you wish they wanted or why you want them to want you. It is why are they coming to you, right? Like, what is the value they're seeking? And then what is that offering saving them or yielding them relative to your price? Let's say a person is a divorce lawyer and they only serve affluent clients that have at least $5 million in net worth, right? And let's say that their cost is $500 per hour, and a typical case, right, like a settlement, like all the way through, it is typically $500,000. But on average, they help their clients retain $3 million of assets that would have been lost. So $500,000 investment or cost of this service relative to $3 million saved, not lost, not having to be given, right, to the other party. That is a very clear value proposition. It is very clear what is being saved in this scenario, and you need to know your value proposition similarly, right? It is not enough to just state a price because it sounds luxurious or it sounds like it's white glove, right? You really need to understand why they're buying from you, what the value, okay, of that outcome or that transformation is, and to be able to clearly articulate that to your customer so that they have confidence in what they're buying from you, so that they trust that their need is going to be met, and so that you also understand how to price and size up the value that you're bringing to the market. I hope that this was helpful. It is always a pleasure. Please do, on whatever platform you're listening to, if it's outside the Blaze Group app, rate us, okay? Give us a review, leave a comment, give feedback. I really do care about what you're thinking, and I want to edify you. And if you're inside the Blaze Group app, go ahead and answer the journal prompt right now so you can get some of jot some of those thoughts in your head down, and take the audio course called Pricing Strategies. It'll really help you implement your learnings into your business today. Love and light.